好，上次我们把金送回去了，我们去跟船屋这个女生说话。莉莉亚还是莉莉丝
Hi, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What's on your mind, officer? Oh? Who? Well, how can I assist you then, officer? Oh. That's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea?
我没有感觉到。我如果要把他，我当然不能说。可是我又是个直男，我喝醉了，我把他开进海里。
This calls for a funeral, if you ask me.
多愁善感，没有灵魂。
Police business. I understand. Anything I can help you with? Oh. That's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea?
我觉得刚刚这样并没有把它讲完啊。
This calls for a funeral, if you ask me. You never know, officer. Some things might have a soul. But I get it. Rational guy like you probably has a lot on his plate anyway. So what can I do for you?
腰间的剑。
Unfortunately, the factory sold this one with a 3-year warranty instead of a story. It's to intimidate folks, mostly. Not really. I know some basic moves, and I know it sure as hell beats a knife when you're in a tough spot.
But not when you're in a tight spot.
Guns are expensive and fragile, I think. Besides, I got kids. Can't have guns around them, and sometimes a sharp blade is enough to keep folks at bay. From time to time, people need a lesson in respect. That's just the way it is. Back in the day, I caught the eyes of many men. And believe me, men need a lesson in manners from time to time.
剑借我？
No, I'm afraid not. Tempting to confiscate the blade I used to keep these animals in check. It would put me in an early grave. Some went to patch their wounds, their lesson learned. Others were more thick-headed. And one of them, I ended up marrying.
我们上次其实也跟他对话过这些了。我本来想说有没有什么新的内容在里面，看来应该是没有。
Gone. To the waves. He didn't respect them. Now, before you tell me how sorry you are for my loss, us working folk, life didn't really...
She looks like she's ready to go on a date with another. Better, drunk. Ask her. Both of you could need some action.
Aye, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it.
循循善诱。我们只有一，我们应该是不太可能跟他约会吧？我们循循善诱烂死了，算了吧。我们试一次，然后如果不行，我们就真的 pass。换个衣服，循循善诱减1。通情达理，完全没有，好惨哦！ 好，我们就试试看。
Hi, the sea's
没有
gonna
就
calm
算了。
down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What's on your mind, officer?
我跟你去约会。
Oh, yes, she does. You need to get your drink on. There is no other way for human beings to procreate. Not after 6,000 years of yeast cultivation-based mating rituals.
臭直男可以在这边有什么说法？3、4一定是不太可能的，那可能是另外一种类型的人比较会说的。第2又比较像是，对，第2比较诚实吧，诚实一点点。1好像也是，1好像也是。 不对，2可能比较好一点。我讲的很直接。
What? Funny. Funny sailor jokes. Sorry if I'm not laughing out loud, but the comedy has worn thin over the years.
It's okay. She just hasn't figured out how these things work between the sexes. Keep at it. She'll come around.
Yeah. 无法。RCM 外套。好，如果他。 Anyway， 我们去商店换个钱好了，然后再回来。哎呦，这是什么？哦，我们之前来过。还有，我们可以顺便回到冰熊冰箱那边。 把陶瓷盔甲拿起来。Oops。迪斯可的起源。先去冰熊冰箱。
This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melting.
对，这个我们还没有找到强力扳手。
The bear's eyes are still glowing red. It's guarding over the freezing corpse hidden inside its belly. The body is reluctant to let go of the boots, as though it were its last bit of dignity. Whatever you're planning to do, you need to do it before you catch pneumonia in the cold draft coming from deep inside the fridge.
右脚。
It's not completely useless. You're able to reveal a little more of the putrid polymer sock beneath the boot. It feels like the leg is going to come off along with the boot, but you're able to get the boot to move a centimeter or two. Just relax. This is easy. This is happening.
先调整一下吧。
He's too heavy to move by yourself, a great mass of dead muscles, with hoarfrost covering his milky eyes. This is the right method. It takes some time, but eventually the boots come off, with nasty slices of polymer sock stuck to even bigger pieces of skin and rotting flesh. Not good. Let's pin this on the bear. The ice bear tore up his legs with its claws. As for the boots, you can't possibly do anything with them until you've cleaned and disinfected them thoroughly. Yes, these absolutely need to be washed before. The stink is incredible.
终于拿到鞋子了，这个人超想要。
Didn't the Whirling have a kitchen?
哦，我们可以借用厨房的水台吗？也不错，也不错，也不错。
Can I help you? What is this thing? What, the interior decorating kind? You know, I'm sorry. This is actually a nice bird. A competent piece of taxidermy. I can fix it to the plaque and have a new bird in the establishment, I guess? So, I don't know. Thank you. I'm gonna go with thank you.
This industrial gas-powered stove has been used to prepare food for many hungry hostel guests. Getting the corpse residue out of these boots is going to require patience, and also a huge pot full of boiling water, soap, and white vinegar. A commercial pot draws your attention. It's very large, gigantic even. It could be used to make enough stew to feed an entire city, and also to boil a putrid pair of death boots. There is a variety of soaps and bleaches in the cabinet to the left of the stove. There is also a bottle of white vinegar in the cabinet next to the fridge. It's bad with those boots. Don't be stingy now.
漂白剂还是洗洁剂啊？洗洁剂，洗洁剂先
The
吧。
bottom of the pot fills with shiny white goo. All right now, chef. Light up the stove and boil them. The soap bubbles over the rim of the pot. The water slowly comes to a boil. Strips of polymer fabric and human tissue separate from the lining of the boots. They float to the bubbling surface. The boots look cleaner and cleaner. Those bits of human flesh are beginning to look cooked. You can smell it too, just like beef stew. That's it, chef. The boots are as clean as they're going to get. Steam dense with the smell of strange meat disappears into the vent above the stove. The boots look clean, but still smell funky.
对，再加一点白醋嘛。
The strong vinegar odor forces you to take a few steps back from the stove. The whole kitchen now smells like white vinegar, but maybe your boots won't smell like a corpse. A pair of real beauties. The boots are shiny, hot, and reek of vinegar.
Nice.
Just perfect.
拿到了靴子。Oops. 很好。
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again. Goodness, how is he? Did he say why he hasn't returned yet?
我们告诉这动物学家他已经要回来了，看他会给我们什么。
Oh, yes. That's my Morel. He's bound to catch a cold staying out there for so long. But I am so relieved to hear that he's okay. Thank you for putting an old woman's heart at ease. If he...
Now maybe she'll open up about those fascinating cryptids. Take her mind off all this.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings. Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden... I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5.5 in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there.
Betancourt got bombed in the war. It used to be quite near, circa 20 kilometers from here.
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it.
OK， 是他看到了一个芦苇，然后像雨伞那样展开来，开始移动。OK， 可能他都没有发现这个小女孩正在旁边，就是他5岁的时候发生的事情。
I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds. I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there knee-deep in mud, looking around me. I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel. We were on our first date when I told him my story. You should have seen his face. He said my descriptions matched the phasmid down to a T. Its white marble limbs, the way it moved. Our first, yes.
The sigh is tender. The sigh is tender, yes, but tempered by something else. A thought she can't express. Interesting.
Not all of them, as far as I remember. Some of them, on the inside like stalks of marble, if that makes sense. It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
很小的时候。
What if it is the case?
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it. whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
我再点一次这循循善诱，但是我把衣服穿上去可能才行。
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again.
哇哦，72 ，nice。
There's really no point in manipulating anyone. She'd be only too pleased to tell you about her work. Go on and ask.
Oh, I'd be delighted. Truth be told, I could really use the company too.
Huh.
That would be the giant of Kokonur. The giant lives in the most arid parts of the vast Kokonur Desert in South Samara, casting a strange light across the barren wastes.
奇怪的光线，
Mirage or psychogenous luminance. No one knows for sure. It is like an awful mountain appearing from below the horizon and expanding to cover almost a third of your field of vision. The towering luminosity of Kokonur is a bad omen in local folklore. Some say it's a fata morgana, others, fate unimaginable. That's what makes it so peculiar. A species surviving at the very limits of scientific law. The giant of Kokonur must be the largest animal the planet can support. There are limits, you see, to how large a metabolism an ecosystem can beget. Some say a gravity anomaly below the Kokonur Desert might allow the creature to grow to these gargantuan sizes.
Gravity anomaly? Digging it. Digging this parascientific stuff right here.
超科学，非常符合科学实验精神，但是它超过完全一般认知的东西。可以。
Cryobacter catlensis.
是冷峻。
Yes, a unicellular bacterium that was discovered in one of the northernmost points of Kotla on the Boreal Plateau by renowned geologist Caitlin Mijanou some 70 years ago. The bacterial colony Mijanou found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably estimate, certainly from before recorded history. Mijanou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life.
啊，对，他注射细胞。
Yes, the bacteria had survived in the ice since times immemorial. It is not hard to see where she could have gotten the idea. Yes, and she's quite mad, too. After she treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible, so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream.
我们再多问一点这个东西好了。所以只有他找到一个菌，然后他打到身体里面，他变永生的。
Cryobacter catlensis. Yes, a unibacterial. Mijanou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life. Wild, yes. Impossible? No. Although, everything has a price, sweetie. After Mijanou treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible, so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream.
OK， 那最危险的呢
The gnome of Jeroma.
OK， 赫罗马侏儒，吓人。
Oh, yes. None of its victims survived. Grieving relatives never even found their bodies because the gnome's venom dissolved organic tissue. It was reportedly a small creature with webbed fingers and a protruding forehead and a gangly little thing. Quite scary to look at. A couple of campers found it when it was already dying. They heard an odd wailing in the woods and followed the sound. They were scared and wrapped it in tarpaulin to suffocate it. It still took the gnome of Jeroma an entire day to die. Alas, no. And the first scientist who got his hands on the creature's corpse put it in a jar of formaldehyde, thinking that would detoxify the gnome's venom. Instead, all the venom leaked out of the creature's teeth and into the surrounding liquid, dissolving the creature itself. A poetic end, perhaps, but a real loss for science.
Alas, always alas, and then it was gone. Isn't that overly convenient?
对啊，这么说蛮便利的。
I understand your skepticism, but that's what happens with things that are rare and stand out. Their disappearance is most memorable, and they are least likely to be found again.
无形的呢？
What an interesting question. And the answer is yes, there are. The call de mama d'aqua, or thin whisper of sound. And that's precisely what it seems to be. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. It's very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track.
Haktu Madada， 到底它怎么念 ？Kodamama Dagwan，Kodamama Dagwan， 好神奇哦！它是声波，会复制的声波，然后所以它是一种无形的动物。
Koramama Dakwa can also be translated as a whisper light and low.
Plenty. It's the evidence that led to its discovery. In the 20s, a group of areopagite ornithologists, that is, scientists who study birds, were trying out a new recording technology for capturing sounds outside the range of human hearing. When playing back recordings they had made in the foothills of the Ea mountain range, they noticed certain anomalies, patterns that seemed random at first, but on closer examination were consistent with the waveforms of songbirds. The scientists soon discovered they could track and even predict what appeared to be feeding, mating, and migration patterns based on sound waves in a strictly delimited range of ultrasonic frequencies, even higher than those of the highest-pitched bat calls. They realized that they had discovered a new species and called it the Col de Mama d'Aqua, after the Paracanassian name for the voice of God, which is said to be very silent. They grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they couldn't see them, they could distinguish among individual birds and even began to name some of them.
Yeah. 所以他录到了一些 跟鸟鸣叫的波形类似的无形生物。那虽然说他们一直没有找到这个生物的有形实体，但是他们录到的声音把它区分出来了之后，给一些不同的物种命名。Okay.
Sequester, Time, Joscan. Those are but some of the Mamadakwa they followed individually. It could be. As I said, it could be everywhere. And we wouldn't know any better. It could be ringing all the days of our lives and nights. Yes, that's another translation. They're both quite lovely, aren't they? Although the low part is a little ironic. The call de Mamadakwa makes, or rather is, such a high-pitched sound that other animals, including humans, can't hear it. It could be everywhere, all of the time, and we wouldn't know.
它动物跟声音，它本身就是两种不同的，一个是波，一个只是一种波而已。然后动物是，就是动物的定义是，一般会认为是有实体啦，但是严格的动物定义好像并不需要是实体，没错。
Many scientists have asked the same question. Some have claimed that it isn't itself a sound, but a tiny corpuscle that emits sound waves. But there's no evidence to support this theory. That is a sad story. A group of university students assisting with the field work in their enthusiasm for the project, and no doubt because they were preoccupied with impressing their professors, nearly drove it to extinction. They tried to communicate with it and had no other means but sound. So they started sending out sound waves at frequencies they thought might match the Mamadakwas. And what happens when a sound wave meets another sound wave of the same frequency, dear?
Psst. They cancel each other out. Psst.
Exactly. And these tests were performed so recklessly that when they happened upon the right frequency, well, they wiped out most of the population. After that, the corpuscle appears to have migrated elsewhere. There have been recordings of anomalies similar to those spotted in Ea, but they've been few and far between. It's impossible to confirm the presence of any stable Mamadakwa population anywhere. What about what? Of course, dear.
Okay. 这应该是同样的啦。
Of course, dear. Of course, dear.
隔天再来找他好了。我们先去，锁起来了。大家都回车上了。
A lorry stuck in the.
大家都回家了。这些抗议都回家了。我们最后来看看乔伊有说什么话，不然我们就乔伊斯。
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare? Of course, Detective. Excuse me for implying otherwise. I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt verm myself. However, if you felt like passing some information, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Gossiping? 对，我们只是在八卦而已。
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things.
Oh. That's so helpful of him. So very, very helpful. And how is that going? Do you have any leads on that gun? Well, maybe he's not as helpful as you thought then. Is there anything else? A referral, you mean? I take it this was for someone in the RCM. Don't answer that.
My liege, this woman has half convinced herself already. All it would take is a little nudge.
我需不需要在这里骗他啊？好像其实也还好，是没什么必要。我们没有特定的目的啊。
Oh my. A real door. That's good to hear, Detective. Police work is rarely pretty, but it sounds like you did what you had to do.
Her bartering mind cannot fathom that you didn't ask anything in return.
I wouldn't have taken Everard for a saber rattler. Was he surrounded by union men he wanted to impress?
No, it was more like he wanted things to get worse. In secret, of course.
Or he wants you and me to believe he wants to go to war.
Of course, brinkmanship takes showmanship. We should have seen it before. In his office, he might well have been performing for us.
I'll think it over, Detective. Thank you for relaying this information to me.
确实，工会长有可能是在表演，他希望我们自己知道这件事情困难，然后就会把佣兵撤掉。可他不知道的是，他一直没有跟乔伊斯对话。因为佣兵不归属乔伊斯管理，它属于野松公司。野松公司派出来的两条线，一个是正规渠道的乔伊斯进行工会协商，可是工会长并不跟他沟通，然后佣兵自作主张的让这事情变得更复杂。那野松公司也不想，或许他们没有足够的资讯。需要知道，他们应该要把这个佣兵撤掉。然后到了一个时间点，他们的长官真的 遇害，我们只能讲遇害。那现在似乎谁也管不动佣兵了。
Have I underestimated the Union's ferocity? She has to ask herself by now.
What you've said is quite enough. You've given me a lot to consider, and may have helped me prevent this conflict from escalating. Sounds like he has you running errands, Detective. A well-established dominance ritual. Where did he have you deliver it? Ah, yes. I've been meaning to go there. A youth centre with Edgar Clare's statue on top of it. Go ahead. Help him. Make it so. I have no power to stop him. Yes. I'm sad I'll never have the time, Detective. I've always wanted a dilapidating fishing village.
She is more defensive about it than usual.
Full of ghosts and ancient memories. Has this errand yielded you any information? Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with? By love, you did.
Fast, observantly, like an electronic printer.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter?
我们跟他确认一下有没有什么信息，我们跟他没有讲完。
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. Are you sure you're sure? Your colleague seemed adamant. Okay. The Pale is the most dominant geological feature of the world, Detective. The separative tissue between the islas. It is the inter-islary mass. Isla is a Messinian word for a continent of matter, enveloped on all sides by the Pale. Also, isolation, or landmass. We used to believe there was only one. In the last 4 centuries, we have discovered 7. Windy, Seol, Samara, Ilmara, Grad, Katla, and this, Insulinde. An oceanic isla. It comprises mostly of water. Muindi is the largest, Katla the coldest, Insulinde the bluest. What can I say? Each is perishing and dear.
灰域，所以在每个大洲之外有一圈灰域，然后灰域阻隔了洲跟洲之间的相连。那它又不是水。
Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The Pale is the enemy of matter and life. It is not like any other, or anything in the world. It is the transition state of being into nothingness.
它是虚无状态的过渡，所以它介于生跟死之间。然后你要穿越洲，你会需要穿越灰域，所以有专门之前我们就有对谈，专门开灰域的司机那个女生。OK。
The negation of being.
That's right. The negation of being. No, Detective. We're safe. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. You are in the middle of the Isla. An uproar of matter, darling. Rising into the Pale. Rolling. Evaporating even. A great vision. The area of transition between the world and the pale is called porch collapse. Imagine a grey coronal mist, cold vapor marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism, a mold that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's
迷雾。OK，
the most disco thing you will ever see. It's difficult to describe, or even measure. Something whose fundamental property is the suspension of properties. Physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into Pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension, right down to the mathematical. Numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible.
There's a slippery article in there.
Pale when it's particular, this territory of Pale. The Pale when it's pale in its entirety. Once you've seen it, language balks at the difference. Oh, it is so difficult for us.
A squall of birds. Hardware operating in the harbor. Firm. Self-evident.
It is possible to force dimensions on the Pale. In modern times, we can even compress its latitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the Pale without getting lost, or having our minds damaged. Extensively. Some say the damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that Pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading, that it's rarefied past, not rarefied matter.
哦，我懂，我猜测，不能说我懂，但我猜测他这里说，这有两种说法，这穿越灰域的时候，对人是精神有危险的。那两种说法，一个是感官剥夺，那这个就比较容易理解。那另外一派的说法是，灰域其实是某种程度的过往的资讯组成的，所以它是一种消逝的东西。那或许你在穿过它的时候，有可能你会有交互影响吧。然后你的一部分融入了灰域，然后灰域的一部分融入了你，那你的精神就受创。所以有可能你在那个状况下会搞不清楚你自己是什么东西，或者是它是一种逐步、慢慢的、广泛的影响你的精神。
They call it the blend over of the self. The Pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The human mind becomes over-radiated by past.
对。所以你融合了一种过去的历史、心理或者是物理学的法则，那你的精神就不稳定了。这样听起来感觉很怪或者很难界定，但是，我在猜，如果要用解释的话，假设是道德观好了，现代人的道德观突然跟2000年以前的道德观混合在一起了之后。然后 你的脑袋会怎么去认知这个？可能叫你去，对，然后你突然面对到一个决定，那你就脑袋就会撞墙，然后再来，可能是如果我们在讲一个思想的话，那我们现在在讲地心说，就是我们看这个宇宙，然后地球在太阳系大概哪个位置？可是如果我的脑袋里面同时装着地心跟地平说，就是地球是平的，那我的身体会怎么反应这件事情？我的脑袋会怎么反应这件事情？如果我同时相信这两个，那我的头脑就打结，因为这两个本体上是矛盾的吧
Who says and who argues?
The logical positivists say, the dialectical materialists argue. It feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travelers to 6 days of pale exposure per year.
It's more for her. Way more.
No, Lieutenant Dubois. I'm entreprenetic business class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of pale transit annually.
Oh, OK. 他也是特别的协商员，他受过训练，所以他才可以来执行这个任务。
Someone else you've met may have been exposed as well. The strange grey-haired woman in her lorry.
Yes, carried in the hulls of airships. It's a horrific job. Automation will abolish it soon.
You should ask the PAL driver about this. See what she says.
Up to my gills, officer. Entreprenetics is the scientific study of the Pale, or a recent iteration of it by way of grad. The study of the Pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Pericarnassians called it the Western Plain.
Western Plain.
They had not traveled the entire circumference of the Pericarnassian Super E Solar. It was not merely in the west, it was everywhere, even then, surrounding them.
There are signs of pre-modern crossings. Successful navigation of the Pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparation. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years. Nothing. We remain powerless before the Pale. The only real advance in Pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic craft can pierce it. Less exposure leads to less effects later.
唯一的就是速度。OK。
Hybrid airships, Detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended, once you've crossed from near Pale to far Pale.
哦 ，OK。因为它不是物质，它是 nothing， 它是介于存在跟完全不存在之间的状态，所以如果你行进到灰域的边界了之后，你的运动的速度就锁定了，就有点像是牛顿定律上在讲的，你如果没有任何摩擦，没有任何阻挡，运动就以等速前进，所以穿越灰域，你的初始速度，进入灰域的初始速度，决定你在灰域里面会待多久。所以灰域如果很大片的话，你的速度又不够快，你人出来就会疯了。所以螺旋桨、喷射引擎都不影响，它在里面的速度，因为它是 nothing， 它就是介于 nothing。
In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end. If we throw them precisely. Then they don't.
Oh shit.
Gone, like a skipping stone beneath the surface.
劲风剑是一个他们后来做出来的特别的，他没有在这里特别讲，但是你感觉可以理解它叫是虫洞。如果灰域另外一边有东西，你把劲风剑扔进去，就会从另外一边快速的出来。那它是另外一种科技吧？你可以说这个里面设计的黑科技。但是如果对面是没有东西的，它就不见了。
The pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping. What do you think, Detective?
下滑1:1吗？
Precisely. One of the few measurable effects of the pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An intuitive conclusion of that development is that one day the pale will cover everything. But this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists.
这个真的谁知道？
Most people, and indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same. It doesn't look like you're doing the same. The suggestion was meant in earnest, Detective. Live life.
Okay.
Yes, sweet reality. But before we do, tell me, Detective, is this the first time you're hearing this? Do you really not remember anything? Then tell me, what do you think of the pale?
OK， 所以或许我们也曾经穿越过回域。我们在游戏开始，还有每一天中间睡觉之后，都会有一些特别的声音，像什么上古爬虫类啊，会跟我们讲话。或许这就是我们被回域影响的后遗症。或许啊。
You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation, Detective. If you don't know even this, then... I hope so. I truly do. If I may suggest, hold on to your colleague, Kitsuragi. I ran a check on him and he is very competent. In the meanwhile, you have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time.
同舟共济。好，我们先来解这个问题。
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything?
同舟共济，同舟共济+1。哦， 见微知著。内陆帝国同舟共济，又来，都是衣服啊。争强好胜。好吧，那我们现在应该是完整配置了。
Good. What can I help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
6 kilometers southwest in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner Emil Mullins whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
You? You're an officer of the RCM. Preciso mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective. Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital. Truly moralist of you. The coalition government would applaud you for staying out of politics. And yet...
对，我们只是一个法律上不承认，但是临时的 RCM， 公民武装。
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent, provisional rulers like it.
这其实实际上就是有好处，对资本主义有好处，因为大家可以在这边享受一种在法律之外的，因为这里的东西并不是正式法令。另外一种就是它有很大的弹性，可以在这个区域里面自由解释，因为它这部分的居民的权利是由3项国际法共同拼装起来的。那这3项都不是专为这个区域的法律，为这区域的人民所设定的，因为统治者已经不见了嘛。
Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you. So permit me to conclude with this. Who you are to me is the police, the only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
这所以是什么是 RCM？
Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement. Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin.
我是谁部分的答案？
Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are to me is the police, the only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I am here to help.
OK， 好，我跟他确认最后的一些东西，应该我们就得要跑回去睡觉。
A bird? A Svenicid? Or two. A pre-rep. This one, mostly the splat.
You could be
Wonderful.
这些都看过了，这些都看过。
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
私刑。
Of course. Anything to help. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask.
我应该没有要再跟他讲任何话了。货柜箱的门。汤米。垃圾箱。乔伊斯。嗯。还有我还有一个意志坚定。
What would you like to know? Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly Fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Good. What we do?
There was a touch of discomfort there. She nods.
我还有一个东西没跟他讲完是什么？这是什么？乔伊斯意志坚定，是哪一串对话？私刑。
Of course. Of course.
Don't tell her you've met Evera, right?
More lessons in basic reality? Glad to have been of assistance. The little... I fear I've told you all I know. Is there anything else I can help you with? Of course, Detective. You can always drop by later, should something come up. Now, what else can I do for you? What we...
There was a touch of
The Pines, and that is...
The Wild Pines group is one of the original revolution. She nods.
我找不到我找不到。
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
意志坚定。
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else? What would you like to know? Oh my, the E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class? Then what does that say? Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A? 33A? This old proletarian haunt here. As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata. Yes, anyway. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not?
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are archipelagos, while La Caillou, by contrast, is a single fertile landmass, the fourth largest island in the world. It is not an archipelago. She nods attentively.
Good.
我找不到，找不到。How？好吧，我们尽量，我们在这里每一条我们都点。
I fear I've told you all I know. It's an Oranese map of the
他已经
waterways,
发现
or
了，
some version. The sailors, quite a few. Then he made his way to the Revachol.
The old world passing by, and the new world already here.
I can't.
In Martinez looking into Krenel, he writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside, there is a siren. Distant gunshots on the streets of the Jamrock Quarter. Vredefort? Vredefort has a military academy. The Seminese Islands saw a recent conflict. In Revachol, he was executed.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos.
For all the boys looking for adventure, a blood...
Is there anything else I can help you with? Oh, so very, very helpful. Well, a referral.
My liege, this woman,
Oh my. A real... That's good.
her bartering mind cannot fathom that...
What you've said is quite enough. You've given me a... Sounds like he has... Ah, yes. Yes.
She...
Full of ghosts? Of course, detective. You can always drop by later, should something come up. Now, what else?
There was a touch of discomfort.
The Pines, and that is...
The Wild Pines, Saint-Baptiste.
Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet. Yes, a conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like... You mean aside from being the terminal, there are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be... Of course. Mr. Fuck off, midget. Yes. There are every word...
Most of the workers probably...
In its defense, and fortunately, they just so you
An opening gambit, surely.
I'm not sure. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Ever...
She's being sarcastic.
Of course.
If you were to prick it with...
Oh, heavens, no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen. Yes, it's how they circumvent. The Daybard organized labor at it. Of course, officer.
为什么还没发现？我按照正常来说，我已经点过，所以我已经发现过那个问题。我发现过那个检定之前在哪里啊？
I'm glad you are. Yes. Sadly, the company downright... The point of the presentation is, of course, how else can I help? More lessons in basic reality? I am...
She raises the corner of her mouth.
Haven't you heard? We surrendered the nation to... A fitting... When the dust settled, with due... I would not...
She really...
Then for my daughters. Yes. Whatever else I am. I'm also a mother. And a wife. What world? Great body. There is a Elysium. It does. A term of hatred that originate. Oh, great things are difficult to. We used to think.
Oh, art.
There's a steadily. Yes.
A cold fear seeps into you.
They say. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positive. But this is one of the great. You have missed. It's like the crowning of the world. It's in. See? Everyone finds something worth holding on to in this world, however wasted its opportunities. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
我真的找不到，只能 pass 了。我真的找不到。好吧，回家跟你讲番话。
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural? What do I care about some fucking tin eggshells? Ugh, alright, sad piggy. I'll give you this one. I saw a little girl in the fishing village running around with military-grade handwear. Looked cute as hell.
Could that girl have been little Lily? It's not a bad place to start.
Could have been her. Small kid with giant white armored hands. If you've seen one of them, you've seen them all.
OK， 这样我至少知道手在谁手上。
Trying to sneak up on me again? Trying to snuff me out? Get up!
不对，Lily 是那个渔村那边。Anyway， 赶快赶回去睡觉啊！要死了。虽然说我相信警探的工作应该会更晚哦，应该没这么早累吧。
It's getting late and it's snowing. An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see your reflection in it. The expression fixed to your clean-shaven face. You're still not accustomed to it. It's too late. Like an image on film. The expression belongs to your primary motor cortex. It would take a minor neurological miracle for you to cease producing it.
那还是太难了。
The bed is comforting, if a bit run down. Still, you've earned a rest.
睡，开睡。
Across the room, the heating system hums its soft lullaby. The mattress feels soft and sheets warm. It only takes you moments for the world to fall away.
Thoughts, baby. A million little lights in the dark. You're one fine instrument, brother. All those faces and all those names. All that laughter and screaming and scheming around. Every corner and every street. Recorded in you forever on Faraday. No, you're spinning tapes at the discotheque. the great unceasing disco of the mind, the flash, the bang, the endless learning experience.
永恒的旋转。
On and on it goes, for untold hours. At the disco where you first asked her to dance. Rising, rising, above the dark curvature, the great wingspan of sleep, studded with stars.
Behold, there are millions of them down there. The first time, the last time, the smoke in her mouth, the plotted flowers, the faces turning, changing.
It's the world, Harry boy, and you're made of it. Every day you're out there, you make more of yourself from it. I'm afraid you can't be unmade now. You can never forget this shit.
一个是不忘，一个是忘掉，一个是思考。应该是在讲我前一个女朋友这个事情吧。之前每一次都害我们，每次都害我们血量一直往下掉。
All stuck on loop, whirling, spitting out words and images.
You're the son of the world again. Harrister, a ceaseless agent. Picking up litter and old newspapers. Collecting your little bubblegum wrappers and idiotic picture postcards.
Reading your awful letters and recalling things, aren't you? The endless names of the world. An address book you are. The map of a city.
It's too late. You're not made of nothing anymore. You're something now, Harry. I tried to drown you in the black water, but you re-emerged. Kicking and screaming, running. And for what?
For the greater good.
Solving your little crossword puzzles. Doing your tasks. Crossing names off lists. Trying to become some sort of world detector. It won't make it okay. It won't put smoke back in her mouth.
Hmm. 无法睡觉。取得进步，平稳的进步。
There he goes again. He's a real political animal, our Harry. he still doesn't see that it's the world changing around him.
He's got no idea what he's in for.
Beep, beep, beep. The alarm is ringing, Harry. The disco circus goes on and on. You barely slept 3 hours last night.
Do it for the picture puzzle. Put it all together. Solve the world. One conversation at a time. Good. You're up. Listen, there's something that's been bothering you for a few days now. It's a suspicion, or a feeling really, that things are not quite in hand around here. An earth-shattering deduction from your psyche. What will those guys come up with next? Every day, things seem to spin more and more wildly, out of control. The center isn't holding. And despite your efforts to moderate and contain these energies, things only seem to be getting worse. You've got to find out who bears la responsabilité. The most awesome, terrible thing. It is human nature to crave la responsabilité and to deny it. That's why it must be distributed across many different organizations, agencies, offices, and portfolios.
"即便我这样选，是一个务实的、理性的人，我依然会有这样的思维，就是关于道德还有责任。这蛮有趣的。
Harry, you're thinking about this too narrowly. La responsabilité isn't concerned with trivial questions like who killed who. It's about the real issues. The human welfare index, the price of staple goods, the transition to real democracy. Whoa. This isn't some kind of dictatorship. You can't simply seize la responsabilité for yourself. It must be given by a legitimate authority, like a committee. Don't run away from it now, Harry. You know it's the right thing to do. Only the most even-keeled minds in Martinez. Your half-brother, the lieutenant, is a natural place to start. Together, you'll be able to discover who has la responsabilité in Revachol. And, if necessary, you'll have the wisdom and expertise to assign it among yourselves. Most likely, your findings will be collected in a report, which will be carefully reviewed by your superiors. Once they've reviewed it, those same superiors will produce a set of recommendations to be taken up at the next meeting of the Standing Committee. Rest assured, no matter what happens, it will be done through the proper channels.
接受它确实是合理的吧？我们整路上下来，然后我们给这角色加了更多的个性，还有更多在这里面的一点 风格。那按照理性的推断，我们认为稳定也是重要的，我们认为快速的变革也不合理，我们寻求体制内的改革的改革，这样子是一脉相承的吧？我们自然而然的就进入了那个道德选项上面，对吧？这符合这个角色吧？那就接受。
Good luck. Your report is eagerly anticipated. Wasteland of reality. Congrats, you're sober. It will take a while for your body to remember how to metabolize anything that isn't sugar from alcohol. So you're going to be pretty ravenous soon. Eat plenty. You can expect your coordination and balance to improve in a couple of weeks. In 2 months, you might start sleeping like a normal person. Full recovery will take years, though. It'll be depressing, and it'll be boring. Don't expect any further rewards or hand claps. This is how normal people are all the time.
Wow, 我紫色直接降到底耶！好吧，我研究一下手指枪。我猜它应该会对黄色部分有一点点影响。Oh shit.
Yes? I'm glad to hear it, Detective. I was wondering when we'd get to this very subject. If you ask me, it's high time for you to set aside these frivolous side tasks and focus 100% of your energies on the case before us. Why are you pronouncing it like that gentleman from the Institute of Price Stability? You know what? Forget it. What specifically are you trying to assign responsibility for? But isn't that your job? Now I understand. Next, I suppose you're going to tell me you need to form a committee to assign this responsibility? Simple. Because moral intern types love to form committees. In any event, I am just a humble law official. I may work under the moral intern's umbrella, but I'm certainly not qualified to serve on any committee. You know who might be, though? That Mr. Villedroit, the gentleman you met in the young man's apartment. If I were trying to get in touch with the coalition, I would start by seeking him out. But first you might need to speak with his young companion. Now, was there anything else? Wonderful. What is your takeaway? I can't stop a grown man from learning about the fundamental geographic and anthropogenic features of our world, can I?
Perhaps I was overprotective, is what's insinuated.
It all seems unreal, detective. In actuality, the pale is no more unreal than, say, water or death, or that we are stuck behind our eyes, between our own ears, talking. Excuse me, large topics are not my forte. You seem stable enough. Keep it that way. Now, was there anything else, or should we get to it?
聊聊你。
What about me? What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about.
The lieutenant's conceptualization skills must be rather rudimentary.
I can't say that it does, no. When I need to think, I just use my notebook.
The lieutenant produces his familiar mnemotechnique A6 and idly thumbs through a few pages. We all have our different mediums. His is written.
Good. Let's change the subject. What do you want to know? Good.
很好。小女孩，你们起来玩了吗？
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it. This one doesn't say anything, kicking the concrete with his worn-out sneaker.
Lily's our mum.
The stone kicker laughs suddenly. His head is too large for his shoulders. The other one laughs as well. Wow, so intellectually stimulating.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't look like he knows what that means.
Hello, mister. Yes, I am. Little Lily. You know my mom? Uh-huh. Mom is great. You know what's great about my mom? Everything.
Everything，哦，好可爱啊！
Oh, I had gloves. Very big ones. Heavy, too.
Where did you get these gloves?
Found them when Lemmy and I were playing hide and seek. In an empty house. Where no one lives. I think someone hid them there.
She doesn't want you to think she stole them.
I hid them. The twins were gonna take them. They're stupid.
不否认，我觉得这个小女孩应该，或者是外面就是不太习惯跟人家相处，但是就言语应对上面，她似乎看起来比较聪明一点点。因为通常聪明跟社会化会有一部分会整合在一起，就是你如果不喜欢他，那你就找一些方法，就是不一定是好方法，我不一定认为这是好方法，但你可以有一种手段，就是糊弄过去，就啊耶哈 对是啊，然后或者是讲一些他感兴趣的话题，然后慢慢就把他推走，这样他不受伤，你不受伤。对，但那个双胞胎在外面就没有，自己玩石头。
We're going to need those gloves. It's for important police business.
Oh. They're in my sandcastle. Behind our house. Under the sand. You can break the castle. It's not very good. Bye!
啊，好可怜啊！我们把
Weather has not been kind to Lily's little sandcastle. The once mighty towers are quickly eroding away. You can see something shining back to you from what must have been a vast underground catacomb network. The walls and floors give way to the giant's greed, collapse and present you with a pair of ceramic gauntlets.
Congratulations. That's the gauntlets down then. We're doing good on the armor collection front.
nice。序号 ，OK。我们找到盔甲的3个部分哦，总共是4个吗？手头，我们应该还缺一个头，至少缺一个头。他那个是手套的话，不知道会不会有手臂、靴子或者是裤子之类的。我猜最多应该是5件啊，那少的话，不是最多应该6件，少的话就4件吧。能打电话回去问一下。Oops， 这2个谁 ？Anyway， 我们先问一下盔甲上的序号。好，我们跟这2个人对话一下，这2个人是什么
？That's one brutal motor carriage.
这什么名字？弱水3千，只取一尿饮，什么东西 ？Peace。Piece 什么东西啊？4个。我不知道是什么脏话。Piece 也不是 F 开头的那个字，可是这有一个 F 啊，因为可是它 F 开头那个字结尾应该是 K 啊，它这里是 T 耶。我不知道这个。Sorry， 没有办法给这个解答。
If I were a real skull now, I'd jack it, paint it in palm tree livery, then bottom light it, neon style.
这个就比较简洁。
A snazzy shit-ripped skullmobile like this would make a fine trophy. We could, like, hang fucking shrunken heads from the side mirrors. Cops' heads. Scary tribal shit.
Yeah, tribal shit. A cop carriage like this would have proper skull value.
While I appreciate the interest you take in my brutal motor carriage, I have to stop you right there. The RCM takes threats directed at its property seriously.
It's just theoretical work, Copper. No basis in reality. Man, if we were certified skulls right now...
Skulls. Now there's a strong organizational title.
I can tell you who we're not, cop. We're not snitches or skulls.
Which is not to say that the skulls are bitches and... On the contrary.
The part of this presentation you want to take home with you, cop man, is we're not part of the skulls yet.
所以现在又有一个小帮派吗 ？Scope。
Okay then, let's indulge in some intellectual exchange. These young men seem eager to share their beliefs.
You don't know? What kind of cop are you?
It's not a question. Don't get into it.
骗他。
The skulls are the most vicious gang of the Besmertne.
Besmatine, or the Besmati, the Immortals, are West River Sholian crime syndicates.
The nastiest bunch of psychos ever. Jacking carriages and getting into high-speed chases.
Possessing an infinite amount of fuck-all swagger, infamous for their non-verbal modus operandi.
If a skull spots you, he will pull out his dagger and stab you without saying a word.
The lieutenant's voice is as calm as usual, a testament to the violence and death he's witnessed through the sight of his firearm.
They usually occupy the burnt-out quarter in Jamrock, or you can find them loitering around their brightly painted bottom-lighted vehicles.
Okay.
I can't wait to become a skull. Bottom lights are wretched aggressive.
Yeah. 或许他知道裤头心底。
Oh yeah, Cindy's a right proper skull.
Yeah, a true artist of the future. Just like Arno van Eyck.
By the way, if you see Cindy, give her our regards.
For all their nihilistic posturing, these young men are not lacking in youthful idealism. The lieutenant on your left is unusually lenient toward them.
"对，或许他们会喜欢跳舞。
Oh man, yeah. We're not fucking kids, man.
Be wary of the abyss.
Probably because of how non-verbal their mode of operation is going to be. It's a threat. But I don't. In fact, I dislike them so much I'm willing to drag you boys back to the station just to calm myself down.
Hey, there's no need for that. We're just talking here. Joking too. Stay light, man.
Yeah. Didn't you cops, like, have some questions about skulls or some shit?
The Union does their share of policing in Martinez, at least where gangs are concerned. That's why there isn't much organized crime around here.
Don't you worry about that. We're gonna make up for the deficit.
他们两个真的很搞笑。
Yeah, we are.
他们就不是啊。
Mm-hmm. What about them? Well, first off, it's a statement and not necessarily something that characterizes me as a person, even though the statement has character. And I do like piss. The word piss epitomizes the struggle taking place in the world. Things being defined as they seem, not as they are. And, I guess, it's also about communal spirit, the future, and truly appreciating our differences. Also, you've got to admit, it catches the eye. And since the Grand Piper is slowly but steadily moving towards basing the economy on it, attention, it is imperative that the medium itself convey the message.
Yeah. 也是有道理。
What I mean by this is, we are all piss and that the world is inherently meaningless.
It seems that the young man has a certain expertise in at least one field, even if it's rather narrow.
Like I said before, many men keep searching for the one, for so-called true love, which is actually just obsession masquerading as kinship. The thrill of the chase, the hollowness that fills your chest cavity after catching it.
I'm wondering if the poetics come with the jacket, or are they derived from something else entirely?
To catch a fish, you'll need to hurl the lure many times, and even then it isn't certain that you'll get anything. If you blow up the lake, though...
Yeah.
You get more fish in a shorter time. And, for time is of the essence and fleeting ever so quickly, one must think of a way to fuck the whole world and not get caught up in fucking someone.
他的想法就跟刚刚那个 P 是 F 什么 T 的那个人一样，不一样。这个更多是在讲说，世界如果长这么鸟东西，我就需要用一种更极端的方法去处理，然后去发表我自己的意见。然后去找到那个真实的东西是什么，不然你如果一直去追寻一个单一一个实体，那你会你就会发现有一种空虚会填满你，在你找到了之后，那个就不是你要找的东西，所以你要用一种更大，所以他的比喻就是说我炸一个湖，然后就得到更多的鱼。但是另外一个人他讲的就是说，如果这世界是一种狗屎或者是什么，那我们互相的理解、互相的尊重，然后用一种很意识的表达方法去表达了我们的存在。那似乎我们在那种状况下面，我们就存在。那他们两个的有一点交集，但是并不一样，它核心其实不太一样。
Because when one fucks everything, he fucks nothing. And that, to me, feels glorious. Sticking your dick into the void.
Hate to admit it, but in a weird way, he's got a point. Is it a coincidence that here we have 2 badass jackets and 2 badass cops?
Yes? What is? What are you implying? I'm not sure I understand you, Detective. Neither. Fine, if only to end this discussion. Theoretically, if I were a juvenile delinquent, if I were to already be down that path, I think peace is the stronger of the two statements. Seems about right, especially considering your heroic exit attempts.
That's an origin story for a dynamic duo right there.
So are we done here? Or you don't need us around for your secret whisper party, do you?
Murder? Yeah, sure. We'll gladly tell you everything we know about it. It was a man.
Also, he was hanged. He was hanged from a tree.
Yeah, I mean...
These punks don't know anything. Let's just move along.
Hey! Stop right there! How does one know anything?
Ah, this sounds like epistemology. A field so occupied by thought that it begins to question thought itself.
Exactly. How can one know shit? For example, how can one be sure that there truly is a body hanging behind a hostel?
What if it's art? Or just a mere specter?
Maybe it's true. The hanged man is merely a prop in a performance. We are the audience, and the artist is hiding somewhere in the dark.
So what do you think we know?
抢他外套感觉也蛮奇怪。哦，按错了。好吧，我们回去问那个盔甲序号。
You see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? One moment. Can you please describe the body? Age, sex, cause of death?
We suspect he might have been inebriated when he fell. There were bottles all around him, and traces of vomit on his shirt.
Any signs of violence? Did you perform a field autopsy?
It looked like an accident to me, Alice. But that's for the guys in processing to confirm.
You can hear her quickly typing in the background.
What about his belongings? Did you examine his clothes? Any information on the library card?
You can hear her sigh audibly on the other side.
Do you and Lieutenant Kitsuragi want to take the case, or should I assign it to someone else? I have assigned the case to Lieutenant Kitsuragi. Please follow up on this library lead to identify the man. We'll send someone to take the body to the morgue.
OK， 我们马上来查一下那借书证。
That's all for now. Thank you for reporting in. Is there anything else I can do for you? Still no word, I'm afraid, sir. I know it must be frustrating. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? Still no word, I'm afraid, sir. I know it must be frustrating. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? 57th, over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers, a radio on a hook, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
好，我们来看一下那个借书证，借书那借书证去哪了？哦 ，OK。
The library card is folded into two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53. Billy is a unisex name. Could be the deceased, or his family member. Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinton Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. Some thrillers too. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005 02 55211 or visit us at Moreau Street, 78, Jamrock. Business hours, 900 to 1800.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Mejean.
OK。
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? I'm afraid they're closed. It says here that the library is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We should try again during business hours.
OK。
Anything else, Detective? 57th, over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers, a radio on a hook, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
好。这倒是留下比较多疑问。或许它跟凶杀有关，也没有关，很难确定。 不管怎么说，我们要去把我们捡来这些垃圾拿去卖。捡的垃
The
圾。
tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents. Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears with a satisfying jingle. You're a richer man now.
好，我们回来了。我们来去问委员会的事情，然后之后再回去找工会长一趟。
This door is made of metal and appears to be reinforced. Someone here really values their security. No one answers.
Let's go. There's nothing to do here for us anymore.
好吧，他不在。可能晚上再来找他吧。他说他会回来。
The door is closed again. Nothing to do here anymore. You hear someone inside, walking from room to room. Whoever lives here must be back home.
OK， 回家了。再问一下，哭了。
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
I don't believe it. I've never known those boys to have manners. There'll never be skulls, but their hearts are in the right place.
“我可以当骷髅头吗？”
Fat chance. But you can still do your part to revitalize the neighborhood.
She throws you a conspiratorial glance, then presses her finger to her lips and squints up at the sky, as though straining to hear something in the distance.
Have you noticed the quiet? Every so often, you might hear a gunshot pierce the air somewhere in Jamrock. But in Martinez, no gunshots, no sirens. The people are languishing in boredom and complacency. This place is a sepulchre. We'll paint it red. We bring the raucous. You bring the sirens.
“我想我大概知道了，骷 骷髅头兄弟他想要表现什么东西，或者是他代表的这个骷髅头集团想要做什么。如果这个地方是一个坟墓，他们在这上面用画泼洒红色的油墨，你看见了，然后这是一种他认为的一种反动或者是激进的手段。那我们这些人，其他人也带来了警笛声，这些都代表了实实在在代表了某种东西的存在。所以他说这些骷髅头在那个区里面就是很危险，就是他活着的一种证明吧。不少人是这么选的。这跟那种只想要逞凶斗狠的人又不太一样。
I have really outdone myself. This is divine.
Yes, that's what you need, Gaston. More padding on that fat ass of yours. I hope your heart gives out.
René, it's a little pleasures. Life doesn't need to be a struggle. Hello, officer. How might I be of assistance on this fine day? Let me think. I heard someone was hanged and left on a tree for a week, but that's all I know, really. No, officers, I'm sorry, and I really would like to assist. You are both good guys. I can see that.
Then help them, you wimp. You have plenty of shoulder with the ghost caviar in the Union. Someone must know something.
He means caviar socialists.
I wish I could, but I just don't know anything. I always keep my nose clean and don't gossip. Everyone knows and respects that.
Odd. He doesn't seem to be lying, but there's something off here.
I'm not even anyone.
Of course he's holding back. His mouth is so full of Union prick he can't even speak properly.
Can I at least finish my fucking sentence before you piss on it? Is that okay, René? I'm not anyone impotent in the Union. I just know Evrard. Everyone in Martinez knows the Clare brothers. I taught these boys human studies and history in the gymnasium.
What do you know about history? You never witnessed history. Only heard about it years later, when it had already moved on. You don't know history.
The old soldier mumbles something under his breath and turns to face the sea. There he stands, proud, rigid and alone, like a cracking marble statue.
对老兵来讲是，他们就算年纪有差，依然啊，老兵自己是历史的参与人。就说在那一段时间的马丁内斯，那这个工人虽然说他好朋友，但是他应该不是以前就参加过这些。
Let's try not to get caught in a crossfire.
Oh, in many ways, yes. Like an honorary member. I attend meetings and parties, help with little things. Evrard, Edgar, and the older debarders all know me. Oh, yes. Not in the technical sense. I don't have a vote or a membership card, but Evrard keeps me on the payroll, just for the little things.
OK， 他是工会外人员，但是他可以进入。
So that's what it was before. Him hiding something. He tries to make it look like he's a big deal in the Union, and now the illusion is disintegrating before your and René's eyes. He doesn't know anything, because no one tells him anything.
Of course he's not a member. He's not a member of anything. I knew that. He's a Vezavane. turns the way the wind blows and tries to look important. I hate the socialist rabble, but even siding with them is better than living your entire life on the fence, never committing to anything. Pick a damn side already.
Writing work mostly. Occasionally, he needs something written, and I happen to have a way with words, people say. Oh, nothing official, I assure you. Just essays for the newspapers. About Martinez and how things are and how they could be. Evrard and I have these long talks where...
Well, he tells his little pen man exactly what to say. It's commie propaganda, plain and simple. You should be ashamed of yourself.
That's just the way things work around here. No reason to feel bad about it.
但是他并不是一个对，就是说这个是行为。那我在前面回答说，为帮艾特拉做小事，其实帮他做事应该也不是什么问题。但是我对他的看法，我跟他的政治理念，还有对这个事情的看法，跟我处于 RCM 警察这个地位，应该在官方代表什么样的意见，这些都是不同的事情哦。但是他并不是一个左翼分子啊。对啊，他并不属于真正属于工会，他不支持他们的理念，他就只是一个打工仔。
I don't even consider myself a regular socialist. Politics is not really something I involve myself in, officer. I believe everyone has the right to think and do whatever they want, even if it's nothing at all. I'm very adaptable.
Mon Dieu.
No, thank you. For being consummate professionals, you'll have this case wrapped up in no time. Sure, officer. No, thank you. For being consummate professionals, you'll have this case wrapped up in no time.
三明治很好吃，我可以尝一口吗？我有问，很直男，很糟糕，很坏吗？应该还。
I'm sorry, officer, but I really don't share food. Nothing personal, it's just a principle.
The only one you have.
The sandwich looks like a culinary wonder. Well made and abundant in components. The author sure knew their craft. In addition to the obvious slice of ham, a fat one, you notice a brim of a tomato peeking from below. And is that mayonnaise? Oh, that's good. That's very good. You must have other business then?
Oh,
finger pistol, 9mm. Snap, snap, baby. Turns out guns aren't that much for protecting as they are for attacking people. If you want to protect people, really work for them, you have to whip out your signature dual 9mm Villiers finger pistols. Who needs real guns anyway? That conversation you just had? It would have gone better had you snapped those bad boys at him. Note, 9mm dual finger pistols do not count for an actual weapon in a gunfight.
Oh?
We are still waiting for a replacement for the bull you sent sinking.
Wait.
Yes, the Debardiers Union pays me to stand vigil during the night. Not out of any political allegiance, mind you. I'm an old man. Don't sleep more than a few hours every night anyway, and money is tight. Yes, it does. Unfortunately, I wasn't working that night. Been on a 2-week leave since last Monday. It's a private matter. Nothing to do with your investigation.
You see, officer, René is the kind of man who'd rather die than admit he needs medical assistance or, God forbid, sick it. A real man's man is just gonna ride it out.
他或许会给出一个新的线索。对啊，谁在那个警卫室
I'm fine, goddammit. Mind your own business. It's nothing. Just got to cut back on coffee. No one. The boss has been unmanned since last Monday. There's no other guard. It's just me.
No one has been guarding the container yard since last Monday.
Yes. It's not actually an issue. I mean...
Look, officer. The container yard doesn't actually need a guardsman. Never had one before René. Monsieur Claire had that booth built specially for him. It's mostly decorative.
The possibility of someone being in there is enough to discourage any ill-minded individuals.
Evrard created this job for René because he knows the Royal Carabiniers' pension of honor and PTSD isn't something a man can live off. A decorated Kingsman collecting tear reflects bad on the whole neighborhood. His words.
确实也是哦，一个在过去受勋，然后有正统、军职地位的骑士，虽然说到现在这个时代，就说这个时代的马丁内斯，这样还是很难看。呀，确实对艾弗拉特有一点点好感，多了一些。虽然说他的个性比较像是说，对，这些都是我的人，就要好好保护他。然后我也从中赚取我们应该有的利益。然后我们从大公司手上拿到更多的东西，用我们合理的手段，为什么不行？他比较像是那一种，艾弗拉特比较像那种派别，就工会长。不过那就是一个过去啊，就只是一种形象问题。某种程度讲，这也算是一种虚伪了。这里真的我很头痛，我要选什么？骂他，没有中间地带，非生即死。
It's not charity. Not to me. Up there, I give it all I got. I earn my keep. But you're right, officer. There is no middle ground. It's do or die.
Something about him has changed. He's calmer somehow.
Yes. Like I said, it would be up anyway, so might as well keep an eye out. It keeps my senses sharp. It's a Bell McGrave, 4.46 caliber, breech loading, Revachol made. Good weapon, accurate and reliable.
His moves are quick and precise as he first checks the weapon, then aims it at the sea. This man knows firearms intimately.
This one's inoperable. The bolt spring is missing and the mechanism is jammed shut. Still a beauty. Where did you find her? I'm not surprised. There are probably lots of forgotten wartime weapons lying around here. Back in the day, everyone had something stashed away. As for the rifle, I don't know what else to tell you. These BM-446s are an antique. No one uses them anymore. The ammunition is impossible to find.
Okay.
It's clear you like the hard stuff, Bruta. Lower intestine? The term is metabolic and circulatory system. Fascism, Bruta. Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Revachol's problems? Quit stalling, Bruta. We're talking about the weakest, worst, most insane thing. The weak link.
左翼知识分子、自由主义、外国人金融家。我自己其实想选金融家，可是我自己这个角色扮演的应该是要认为左翼知识分子吧。如果真的要选这4个里面，还是自由主义。
Yes, them, but also women.
What?
Women, men of war. You don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Woo men need to go back to the fucking kitchen. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that woo men need to know their place. You're going to keep your vooz, right? Keep your vooz, Brota. There's a slow, painful growl somewhere in your intestines, knocking on your alcohol-engorged liver. It is one of betrayal and disappointment.
Yep.开队。昆诺，好，我们再去找一次昆诺。这个我上不去。
You missed a good show before. A kid came by and completely fucked the cheetah pieces.
He fucked the tree up! Fucked it good! It was porno!
You need to act decisively. It's Kuno. Use Kuno words.
Watch out, Kuno! He's trying to crawl up your ass!
Kuno knows which Kipt Kuno meant. Kuno knows all the Kipt. Kuno's dad's a Kipt expert. Says Kipt every day. Oh, Kuno's dad doesn't give a shit about anything.
Except Kipts.
Try to crawl out of Kuno's ass now!
Yeah? The fuck did you want anyway? You got your fuck bag down? The fuck do you want with it? Good call, Pigmeister. Don't yeah? The kingdom of Kuno. The fuck do you want with it? Yeah, whatever. Kuno doesn't give a shit. Kuno doesn't fucking care.
这个也只是走上去。呀，算了。好，我们是应该来检查我们包包里面的东西。我们找到了这么多道具，应该来检视一下。看一下哦，这几个都看过了。马丁内斯的地图，手写冰箱的便条。
The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined.
看过。互动。
A cockatoo is a parrot with an erectile crest, found on the Seminine Islands and in southern Fas al-Amer. Known for their intelligence and general precociousness, cockatoos are popular birds in aviculture. However, they often exhibit various behavioral issues. This book talks about the delicate nature of toos, as well as introducing some of the most popular species among the bird enthusiasts. The funeral cockatoo, the major majestic cockatoo, and the most common bang bang cockatoo. It's colorfully illustrated. Where to even begin? All cockatoos are known for their needy natures, requiring attention for at least 2 full hours a day. They love to talk and have been described as lovable clowns who just don't know how to wrap up. Pet owners also report moodiness, loudness, and hostility as recurring issues. If left unsatisfied, cockatoos may scream non-stop, pluck their feathers, or become aggressive.
那养这个鹦鹉不是有点麻烦？喜怒无常，那感觉比猫还要难养。
It is not recommended to get a cockatoo if you're not able to cook them food every day and give them the full care that they need. These birds will never understand that you have a life of your own. You're right. Cockatoos are magnificent creatures. They love to perform, cuddle, and show off, and will even scream for fun, often as loud as up to 135 decibels.
你知道135分贝是很离谱的高大声音哎，135，天哪
Ouch, that must hurt. Not great for the neighbors. Performing, yes, birdie. This is a yellow-tailed black cockatoo. Its specific name, Psittacus venereus, relates to its dark and somber plumage. This bird looks as if dressed for a funeral, 24/7. There is something indisputably ominous about it. Perhaps the most impressive of all the species, the endangered major majestic cockatoo is often described as the most flamboyant bird in the jungle, its pink-colored wings and flowing crest embellishing its proud and bumptious nature. In the words of poet-explorer Sir James Fournier, few birds more enliven the monotonous hues of the verdant forest than this big, bold, and beautiful species. It must be glorious to behold, dark pink and snow white. Despite its banging name, the bang-bang cockatoo is actually the shyest of the species, common in almost all Seminoles forests, as well as zoos and homes all over the world. Its plumage is mainly grey and white. The Seminoles name, bang-bang, is thought to be of onomatopoeic origins. Yes, but all those cockatoo species are so different. Which one are you? You're right. You're Psittacus venereus embodied. This ominous bird belongs on your heraldry.
对，我只是葬礼黑头鹦鹉。Okay.
The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover. Because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white. No advertisements, you notice. So who's funding this radical commentary? After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents. The magazine is divided into several sections: international developments, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turned to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée, unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel. La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership. Perhaps they've overestimated the market demand for this kind of commentary. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrolling the thing.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Seminine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bear wrestling. Flip back to that.
狗熊摔跤
It seems to be part of a new public fitness initiative in the People's Republic of Samara. SRV, devised and promoted by none other than President Kennedy himself. According to this extremely credulous account, Uncle Sport, as he's affectionately known to his people, has recently decreed bear wrestling the national sport of the SRV. Of course not. The article makes plain that this is man on bear, or in some cases, woman on bear competition. 2 competitors, 1 ring, 5 rounds, or until incapacitation. According to the SRV's Ministry of Information, the program has been a tremendous success. Public support stands at 87%, and youth obesity and alcoholism rates are down 12% and 7% respectively.
Wow, 这个有点高哎。
This is the SRV we're talking about. If you think those are the real numbers, there's probably a guy who wants to sell you a bridge in La Chette.
干嘛？
我今天应该不会在家里吃饭。
哦，好，
我
拜拜。
临时跟人家约面交，我要把假发给他。
哦，好。
拜拜。
好，拜拜。好了，我们被打扰了一下，还好。我想一下哦，我们。
What are you, a statistician? Did the moral intern send you on a fact-finding mission? This is the SRV party line, comrade.
The Samaran People's Republic? No, I should expect not. Why do you ask? They're quite the spectacle, as I understand. I've heard they make the people in the front rows wear plastic sheets.
前排的观众穿铠甲，什么东西
On account of the blood, you see.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. Why they decided to title this one section in Volda is beyond you. Obviously, because it's cool to drop random phrases in foreign languages. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective.
Okay.
The Tip Top Tournée is an inter-Isolari racing series, mostly known for its high speeds, ludicrous sponsorship deals, and high death toll. In Revachol, it's held quadrennially on the prestigious Zero Carousel racing circuit. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. So, all of it, basically. Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines, Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka. There's no way those are real names. Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on, they're plainly pseudonyms. Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity. Thus, the so-called tourney becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a fritter.
Fritter.
And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for. Sure, you think that, but subconsciously, it's the visions of brand names being engulfed in flames that you crave. That's because you haven't been reading critically. But don't worry. The whole point of these sorts of articles is to let someone else read critically for you.
Oh, come on. Can this article read your mind? Well, there you have it. No reason to get hung up on the pretentious ramblings of a few young men. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dockworkers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. Ah, this must be Gaston's handiwork. According to these editorials, there can be no accommodation with the forces of international capital or their mucilaginous allies in the coalition. Judging from the context, it's something very large and fundamental. You should probably know about it already. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Yeah. 这是一本期刊为工人主义、社会主义还有共产主义的背书哦。那本来这就是左翼分子会读的杂志啊，只出到第4期，不确定它是只出到第4期，还是刚好出到第4期，不确定。但不管怎么说，这些都是头大的问题啊。虽然我们只是在玩游戏，但是这确实在现实生活中就是头大的问题，从来没有不试过。